Okay, are you ready for the key buzzwords? Solar, battery, EV, $26 a kilowatt. Does it always happen? No. Hey everyone, I'm Scott from SP for Photos, and today I'm going to run through 14 months of being on Amber and having a home battery, solar, and 1.5 EVs to charge. Now, just to clarify, I say 1.5 EVs because what we do charge here at home is a 2022 Hyundai Kona Highlander and a Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. Now, obviously, the plug-in hybrid would be classed as half an EV. It's certainly safe to say that in Australia, solar and batteries has been a pretty big success, but is it worth still having? The answer is yes. But also, if you have Amber, are you really going to get what you see on the ads? Spoiler, the answer is no. At least it depends on where you live, of course. Now, I'm in southeast Queensland, a small little sleepy suburb called the Gold Coast. Now, we get pretty good sun and pretty good light around here, but have my electricity bills been zero, and have I made $1 million selling my energy back to the grid? And the answer is no, it's not. But is it heavily reduced? Yes, of course it is. Now, is it really worth it to be charging at home? Of course, the answer is yes, because you're charging for free. Almost, but not really. Now, this is when it gets very confusing for people about charging at home, and also when is the best time to charge? What is the best setup for you to have? And it really depends on what car you buy, what setup you have, and also your retail. When we first moved in, the property did have a 5 kilowatt inverter with some pissy little panels on the roof. And when I decided to go for a home solar battery, and this is before the rebate, of course, I ended up going basically fill the roof. Yep, okay, I want overkill. As much space as we can put up there, put a panel. Now, the theory behind that, during winter, because winter you can actually still generate while it's raining. And we have seen this before. Even though it's not always, beautiful sunny Gold Coast, we do get the occasional wet weather. And that also means when there's no sun out, you're not really generating. But 20 kilowatts on the roof, we have had stages where it has been raining and still generating up to 3 kilowatts an hour, which is enough to trickle charge the battery if it's really needed. But at least it's something being better than nothing. Now, do the big price spikes actually happen? Sure, in different states, they probably do. I've only seen it once on Amber while in southeast Queensland, like I said, and that was around $24 a kilowatt, and that was exporting, some really good money then. But obviously, being Queensland and Energex, a single phase house, I can only export a maximum of 5 kilowatt an hour. And of course, full disclaimer, this is not a bag of Amber. I've obviously stuck with Amber. I haven't changed electricity suppliers for a reason, because I'm actually quite content being with Amber. I have just put my bills into Claude and let Claude work out all the fun stats to find out whether I've actually lost money or made money. Okay, so just an overview. What a battery, 20 kilowatts of solar and 2 EVs actually cost. Now, this is based off 14 bills fed into Claude GPT, whatever you want to call it. So as it says, the bottom line, 15 months, house and both cars, $642.28 paid, which averaged out to around $42.59 per month. I'm going to assume that means including GST. We were charged $1,424 and credited back in solar $782, which worked out to be $1.40 per day. So as I was saying before, you can see that a lot of it is also coming down to the fixed fees of Amber's monthly subscription, which they call it something different now, but also the connection to the grid through Energex with their daily fees. That's also something worth looking into if you are deciding to move away from Amber to these fixed 3 hours of free electricity, should you decide to buy a battery only and charge during those 3 hours, or also charge an EV. That you will also have a higher connection fee and costs for that 3 hours of free electricity. So using just a couple of Energy Australia bills I had laying around, which were the most recent ones that I could find, you can see a bit of a difference there between $7.66 a day and $1.40 of imported fees. So While we are not getting those massive big spikes, it is also, like I said before, a benefit of having a cheaper buy rate during the day, and is making sure that the battery is charged in the afternoon, so you're not paying those 35 to 55 to sometimes up to $1 kilowatt hours when it does get into those spike territories. I thought this was an interesting one. Same quarter, 1 year apart, $704 paid, and then the next year I was $41 in credit. Between that September and December period, which is also a good period of time because the days do start getting longer, so you are starting to generate more. And as you will find as summer progresses, that I was getting at one stage, my battery was full by literally 10 o'clock in the morning, even if it was down to using overnight, down to its 8 kilowatts of emergency backup to the level that I'd set. So the one that did surprise both myself and Claude was that the actual vehicles have actually imported more from the grid or used more than the actual house load for 6 people living in the house. And that's 4 adults and 2 teenagers. So this is where it also comes down to when you decide to charge the car is a big thing. Making sure that you can try and charge, whether it's surplus solar during the day or basically once the battery has been charged, or choosing those cheaper times to charge the vehicles. Always good to know that plenty of panels up on the roof does make a big difference, with 87% of it coming off the roof then being imported from the grid. Now, we did have one of the inverters that was affected by the recall. It has now been replaced, and that was capped at an 8 kilowatt load limit, so we can now generate a little bit extra when the house is being used and also the battery is being charged, but also charging a car during the day while the solar is also importing. And then it even spat out some information about when we change from the 24 kilowatt hour up to the 40, you can see that the net cost did actually halve, it halved from $2.11 a day to $1.04 a day. Also quite interesting to see that the grid export, having that extra 16 kilowatts of storage there, that it did actually export to the grid a lot more. I would also put that down to being summertime, and that basically, like I said, the battery was getting fuller earlier in the morning, and then during those times of high need and use where there actually was a solar buy during the day of a significant price, that it was exporting back to the grid. I would also be manually deciding when that happens as well, apart from using SmartShift. And I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, this is based off 2024 when I was with Energy Australia, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be anything higher now. 4 cents versus 10 cents, and that's just an average amber. Obviously, the amber wholesale exported costs can vary anywhere from 2 cents all the way up to an average, I would say, probably around about 20 cents. During summer, it does get up to around 40 to 50, up to $1 sometimes, but they are very short sessions. And as it says, you can tell that yes, a battery does not beat the winter. When there's less sun every day and you aren't obviously generating as much solar, people use heaters, or if you're like my son, uses an air conditioner. You can tell that obviously those shorter periods of sun during the day, that you do end up using more from the grid, which is fine, because then in the summer, you're basically counterbalancing that. I think this is one of the main takeaways as well, that between the cars in the house, that 85.8% was self-consumption. And I probably should have specified with Claude that we don't have a garage and that the battery actually is outside. So was it worth it? Well, $42 a month for a house and 2 cars. Like I said before, I would say 1.5 cars, because the plug-in hybrid does charge quite slowly. But overall, and taking out the $30,000 upfront costs, we did put it onto the mortgage, but we will actually show at the end what we feel that the repayment period should be. And speaking of that, as I mentioned, $29,000 was about the average price that we were looking for to go to replace the whole solar system that we had, and also get the new battery that was with the 16 kilowatt for that $29,000 before the rebates actually came into effect. You can see on average that basically saved per year from the bills will be around about $3,712, and I don't think that's including the cars if we didn't allow for if we were still driving ICE vehicles as well, which I am for now. And once again, just repeating what I just said, roughly 7 to 9 years is what they kind of basically has worked out to be, to, if you were to say, to justify spending that money up front to roughly pay it off. And then you can see basically it's worked out to be around $974 a year for basic savings, charging the cars off our roof instead of buying that power. And the cars was basically saving around about $3,652 a year driving electric instead of petrol, which actually does work out because in my last financial year we spent around about $4,500 on petrol for my car. So in conclusion, my personal opinion, has getting a home battery and solar been worthwhile? Yes, of course it has. Now, as we do move towards getting another EV, all that surplus energy during the day when we're curtailing, I will basically charge whatever car is home. But if you are going into this thinking that you're not going to pay an electricity bill ever again, sorry to say, they're always going to get you on the connection fees and all that kind of other bullshit admin fees, which has to be there, obviously infrastructure, totally get all that, not a worry. So, I hope this video has been helpful to you, and if it hasn't, I don't know why you're still watching. Also, as I try to grow this channel, please feel free to obviously like the video, and if you didn't, let me know why in the comments. I don't mind.